Hello, and welcome to a Grim Oak Press unboxing. Been a while since I've done one of these. This, my friends, is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, as illustrated by David Curtis, the signed and numbered edition. Now, this is a pricier limited edition, which is a shame because I have a ton of copies left. It's one that I couldn't quite swing, at least not at full price, but hey, this is actually a dinged copy, courtesy of their Black Friday Cyber Monday sale, which the price was right for me there. I, of course, added on the optional slipcase, which actually costs about as much as the book did, which, is what it is. But, nice little limited edition for a fraction of the sale price, the cover price. I'm all for it. I've heard good things about TJ Klune and this novel. I know it won a bunch of awards, was nominated for a bunch of awards back when it came out a few years ago. So I'm excited to dive in. Always like to support Grim Oak Press whenever I can as well. So, let's take a look. Let's see if we can find our ding. Some of the dings are pretty small. I've bought some dinged copies from them in the past. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're hardly noticeable. Other times, you might get a bit of a ding. So anyways, yeah, it does retail for $200, which is pretty pricey. And that's without the slipcase, which is kind of a bummer. I think the people have unfortunately not really bought into it. Is that the ding? It's barely noticeable, only under the right lights there, perhaps. I mean, the corners look good. The corners look great. It's a bonded leather. It actually kind of feels like a different bonded leather than the one they've used in the past for like their Terry Brooks titles. This almost feels a little bit smoother, but I'm fine with that. It's a nice little stamping on the spine. Nice blue end papers. Of course, you are going to have your signature page signed by Klune and David Curtis. This is signed by this is stamped for the Grim Oak Shield, which is how you know it's a PC copy, a dinged copy. That's what they do. Klune's written a bunch. How about that? Somewhere Beyond the Sea is the sequel. Hopefully they might do the sequel. I suppose it really all comes down to how well this first one sells. Unfortunately, like I said, it hasn't sold as well as they probably would have hoped. Got a bunch of copies left. But, to be fair, Grim Oak Press, which has kind of established themselves as great publishers of science fantasy. I was going to say science fiction and fantasy, but they really only published like one science fiction title, which was Street Freaks. They are big publishers of fantasy. They're run by Sean Speakman, who is the webmaster for Naomi Novik and Terry Brooks. He's also a writer in his own right, which is not a pun in his own right, but I guess it kind of sounds like it is. But anyways, they usually publish a lot of like epic fantasy, and I guess this isn't necessarily young adult fantasy, but it definitely, I guess, branches on the edge of young adult fantasy. So it might not necessarily resonate with the people that are buying the Tad Williams, the Terry Brooks titles. So maybe that's why it's not selling as well. Maybe it is, in fact, the price. Who knows? I can't speak. I have never seen the books of Grim Oak Press, so I can't speak to how much of that is profit of that title. I mean, unfortunately, it is bonded leather as opposed to cloth bound, which I always prefer cloth bound, but it's nice. I mean, the artwork's great. It's actually printed on nice inserted inlaid paper, which is nice. So that's kind of part of the cost on its own. It is a sewn binding as well, which is nice. And what is great is that the slipcase is optional, so you don't have to buy the slipcase if you don't want to buy the slipcase. It's just kind of sad, comparing it to like Levidian, who's able to do their books with cloth bound and slipcases for less than the price of the book itself here. But the artwork for Levidian is not printed on color plates and tipped into the book. It's black and white for the numbered editions, which kind of offsets that cost a little bit as well. Anyways, the novel itself I haven't even talked about. Apparently, The House in the Cerulean Sea deals with a social worker of sorts who is sent to the titular house in the Cerulean Sea to see if the children, he's a social worker who deals with the Department of Magic. I know it's not the actual name, but he deals with, orphanages that deal with gifted children throughout the world. And he is sent to the titular house in the Cerulean Sea to see if the 5 children there, which include, I guess, like a sprite, a blob, a were-Pomeranian, that's the were-Pomeranian, which just sounds like a delightful cast of characters. A blob, there's the blob, and I guess one is the Antichrist, to see if they are going to bring about the end of the world. So, like I said, it got a lot of praise back when it came out a few years ago. Got nominated for a bunch of awards. 2020, the first year publication. How about that? So here we are a few years later with the limited edition. I don't know for certain if they're going to do future Klune titles. I guess it all probably comes down to how this one sells. Unfortunately, it hasn't sold as well as they probably would have hoped. I don't know if they have any dinged copies left. I think all of their Black Friday ones, and we're weeks out now. I believe that all the Black Friday titles haven't snatched up, but I should have checked that before doing the video here. But if you wanted to buy a copy, there are full price available on the site. I mean, like I said, it is a hefty price tag, $200. That does not include the slipcase if you want to get the slipcase. But you might be able to find it on sale if they have any more dinged copies, perhaps. I hate to say it, but if it continues to not sell well, they might eventually discount the copies. I'm looking at the Unremembering Peter Cerulean, which, when I speak of that, Cerulean's title was one of the first titles ever published by Grim-Oak. I mean, the very first one done by Grim-Oak was Unfettered. But I believe the Unremembered actually came out before the Sword of Shannara. It was around the same time as the Sword of Shannara. Sword of Shannara was $100 right out the gate. The Unremembered was $50, so it was already cheaper than the Sword of Shannara. And it was only limited to 500 copies. And, well, let's just say this is like probably 7 or 8 years ago when this novel got released, and it only just now sold out this year. And that was after multiple years of being discounted for like $20, which is wild. I don't think this will get discounted to $20, but I mean, if it does stick around for a while, you might be able to pick up a copy for cheaper than the $200. I don't really see a ding other than maybe that on the back. If you saw a ding and you shouted it out like you're watching an episode of Blue's Clues, I didn't hear you, but you can let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I mean, Grim-Oak Press does a great job. I mean, I love their books. I would love to own everything they've done. Unfortunately, they've really kicked up the production. They used to do like one book every quarter, one book every half year, and now they're doing like one book every like 3 weeks, which is insane. Like they are just cranking out the books these days, and with the higher costs and the higher prices. Especially over the past few years, I can't afford to buy all their copies. I mean, like it's like you got to pick and choose, obviously. But hey, when Black Friday rolls around and you get some dinged copies available, I will definitely buy them dinged because the price is right there. Once I read The House of the Cerulean Sea, I will give a full book review on the novel itself. I do at least one book review a week on the channel here, but I have plenty of unboxing videos in between here and there. So please consider subscribing to the channel here. I have a whole playlist of Grim-Oak titles that I have unboxed, and as I do buy more, like there are some like Tad Williams, which is a given, or the John Gwynne titles, which I did buy Malice, and then I had some camera issues with that one, so I got to do a video on Malice. So there's more Grim-Oak titles to watch on the channel here, plus other publishers as well. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please check out Grim-Oak Press, and we'll see you around next time.